Previously on Unscripted.
Steve Ballmer, the owner of the Clippers, set up a company that was paying Kawhi Leonard $28 million to do nothing.
It doesn't surprise me, actually.
Everything we know about Kawhi Leonard is like he gets paid mostly to do nothing.
You're listening to Unscripted with Skip Sherman and Josh Obadia.
Okay, Skip, so today we're going to talk about the most shocking or surprising things that have happened in our lifetime. But before we get to that, would you like to know what's bugging me?
You're kidding me? Boy, are you bugging me, man. I'm gonna nail. Ooh, I'm getting bugged now. Whoa, man.
Oh, I would love to know what's bugging you. We haven't done a what's bugging me in a while.
So, here's what happened. I have to give you the backstory. I use Apple Pay on my phone almost exclusively. I don't think I ever use my actual credit card anymore. And Apple Pay works great. I mean, unless your bill is over, I don't know, is it $100 or $200, but whatever.
Yeah, I think it's 200. I think it depends on the store, but yeah, it's usually in the 200s.
So one of the things that I use Apple Pay for is when I take the subway. You just tap it, the gates open, and you take the subway. It's great.
Beautiful.
The only odd thing is that you don't get charged right away when you use the subway. So normally when I use Apple Pay, there's a notification on my phone seconds later saying you just spent $23 at Loblaws or whatever. But when I use the subway, that notification doesn't come until like the middle of the night. So I usually get it the next day when I wake up. No big deal. So last week I used the subway, the gates opened. I was able to get on the subway and I was able to take the subway home, no problem. The next day, I get the notification, but instead of saying, your card was charged $6.60, it says your card was declined, which doesn't make sense because how did I get on the subway?
Right.
So I didn't really think about it or care about it until I had to use the subway again yesterday. So I tried to use the subway yesterday and I tapped my phone and it wouldn't let me on. I forget the exact message that came on the screen. It said something like trying to pay previous transaction or something. I don't know.
But could you take your actual card out and tap it instead of using the phone?
Yes, I did that because I didn't have a choice and it worked and it was fine.
Oh, so then it's not the card, right?
Right. And I've used Apple Pay for other things in the meantime and it works. So it's not Apple. Yeah. It's not my card.
No.
So I asked someone at the Toronto Transit Commission, have you ever seen this? Do you know what's going on? And he explains to me that the error message is you have to talk to your credit card company.
Yeah,
I said,
but
okay,
that's nonsense. That's nonsense. That's what they say when they don't know what to say because the problem is on their end, not on,
Right. So that's problem number one. Anyway, in the meantime, I was able to get on the subway using my actual card. In the meantime, I look at my credit card statement because, you can see that on your phone quite easily. And it shows that I was charged that day where it says my card was declined. So I call Visa and the person that I spoke to says, okay, I'm going to transfer you to someone at Visa who is an expert on Apple Pay. I'm already a little bit skeptical because you have an expert, you have an Apple Pay expert, but okay, whatever. So he transferred me to this Apple Pay expert, and I'm trying to be nice here. This guy was very annoying. So he's asking me, first of all, I had to explain the whole story to him again because, of course, even though I just spoke to the first guy seconds ago, the second guy has no clue. So I explained the whole story to him again, and he's looking through the transactions. And on the date in question, he sees that I bought lunch that day, which I did, but he doesn't even see the transaction that I'm referring to, the one where it said I was declined, but I wasn't. He says, I don't even see that transaction here. So right away, I'm like, in my head, how do you not see that?
Right. Because you could see it?
Oh, yeah, I could see it.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not even asking me the right questions. I'm feeding him all the information that he needs. And he keeps saying to me the same thing. I'm not disputing what you're saying. I'm just trying to help you. And I said, are you? Because this went on for a few minutes and he wasn't helping me. And then at the end, he says, This is not a Visa problem. This is an Apple problem. I'm going to give you the phone number for Apple and you'll call them and they will fix this for you. So
Oh, God.
I'm completely skeptical at this point. I'm like, I said to him, this has nothing to do with Apple. But like he said, there's nothing more that he could do. So I was out of ideas and I actually called the 1-800 number that he gave me. I explained the whole story and it takes a minute and then I finish and I'm waiting for her to respond or ask me questions, but there's silence at the other end. So I said, hello? Like, hello, is anyone there? Like I look at my phone, we're still connected. The call is still connected. But she's not responding. So either she doesn't hear me or she does hear me and she just doesn't want to respond. Bottom line is there was no conversation happening. I was the only one talking. So I had to hang up and call Apple again. Of course, I get a different person this time. And I explain the story. So now this is the fourth time I explained the story. And this person and this person says to me, and he actually seemed more helpful than the first one did nothing. So obviously he's more helpful. This one says to me, I'm going to transfer you to the right person here at Apple who can help you. Okay. So he transfers me to another person. And by the way, these Apple people, they all sound like they're American. The Visa people I was speaking to were clearly Canadian. The Apple people, they all sound American.
Sure.
So they don't even know what the Toronto Transit Commission is. So he transfers me to this other girl, and then the first question she asks me is, what's your email address? And I'm like,
what does it have to do
why
with
do you need
anything?
my email address? I'm having a problem with Apple Pay. She's like, oh, I'm not with Apple Pay. I'm with Apple Cash. I thought you had a problem with Apple Cash. I said, I don't even know what Apple Cash is.
Me too. I don't know what I was just about to say that. What's Apple Cash?
She sort of explained it to me. It's this thing where you can load money onto a card and then you can just deduct from that card.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, well, I said to her, I don't have Apple Cash. I need help with Apple Pay. She's like, well, I don't know anything about Apple Pay. At this point, I was fed up. I hung up, whatever.
Right.
Called Visa back. Now, so
Oh
I'm
my
starting all
God.
over again.
It's just so much a waste of time, no?
So much a waste of time. So I call Visa back. Of course, I get a different person. And the first thing I say to this person is, I said, do not put me on hold and do not transfer me because you are, I think, the 7th person that I've spoken to in the last hour.
Right.
So he takes all the information. He puts me on hold for a minute. He comes back and he says, there's nothing wrong with your card. There's nothing wrong with your phone. I can see all the transactions. So this guy says he could see the transaction that the other guy said he couldn't even see.
Right.
The other guy was completely drunk. The other guy who couldn't see the transaction was the one who told me that I need to call Apple. So this guy's like, no, you don't need to call Apple. Yes, I can see the transaction. So I said to him, so basically when I spoke to your colleague about a half an hour ago, everything he told me was completely wrong. That guy needs training.
Right. Okay.
Anyway, so he said, unfortunately, there's nothing that I can do because there's nothing wrong with your card and there's nothing wrong with your phone. The only thing I can suggest is delete the card and re-add it to your phone, which I did while I was on the phone with him.
Okay.
Meanwhile, I haven't even tried to use Apple Pay since. It's only been about 24 hours. So we'll see what happens next time. But it should not have taken that long.
But so actually, you spent all this time and talked to 7 different people, and when you go to when you go to the subway next time, the same thing's probably going to happen.
I suspect the same exact thing will happen, which is why I'm going to bring my actual credit card with me. It's not a huge deal. I have my card with me almost all the time. It's just annoying.
Yeah. I mean, my experience with this is that it's probably the TTC's, the Toronto Transit Commission. It's probably their mistake. It's something in their system. Like it's their machine that's like tapping, that you're tapping. So because I've had the same thing where I've done Apple Pay, I use it all the time, and then I go into Starbucks and I do Apple Pay and it doesn't work. Right now, why does it not work there? And they say, "Oh, it's something to do with it's your card." But I know it's not my card because I've just used it 6 other times that day. I know it's their machine or something with their network or their setup. Like it's beyond me what's going on. But I mean, seems to me like my guess would be that it is the TTC's fault. right?
I agree with you 100%. And there's nothing that I can do because I would have to get a call with the TTC and Visa and Apple all at the same time.
No, it's impossible.
Which is
No,
not
it's
possible.
impossible.
Exactly.
No, it's impossible.
Anyway, I went on way too long about that. So, do we have any listener mail?
No, but I love that story. I can't wait to like hear what happens next time. I just like, it's crazy. So, no, we don't have listener mail, but I did want to follow up on two things from last episode. Last episode, we did our favorite sports documentaries. So, on the topic of sports documentaries, there is, and I messaged you this during the week. There's There's a documentary coming out on Netflix in October called "Who Killed the Montreal Expos." Mm-hmm. So the timing of that announcement was huge because we just talked about sports docs, and then all of a sudden, like probably the one we're most interested in is going to be coming out. Although who knows if it's going to be good or not? I don't know, but we'll see. And then the other thing is, since the last episode, which was 2 weeks ago, I watched The Last Dance.
That must have taken you a while.
It is long. Like you said, I found it to be really good. I really, really enjoyed it. But it's long. There's a lot of episodes and, it's a bit much. It's drags on a little bit in times. Like they could have made it much shorter, but keep in mind the timing of it. That was a COVID show, right? That came out literally during COVID. And I think people wanted it to be long. People wanted to watch stuff. People were like, it got so popular because this was when people were just stuck at home watching anything they could get their hands on.
Okay, well, we'll be right back after this to talk about the most shocking or surprising things that have happened in our lifetime.
You're listening to Unscripted.
I'm Joseph DeMedictis.
And I'm Ross Acetrulo.
And we're doing this podcast so we don't have to go home and get a real job.
Exactly.
That's right. And we're doing it to tell you about our pursuit of the dreams we've had since being a kid, being young, trying to get into the entertainment industry. Us, we're mid-career, sort of. We're kind of halfway broken in a way. But we both have these big dreams and big goals.
Aspirations, really.
For our careers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. This podcast is about the journey through the industry, trying to make it, but trying not to have to give up.
So listen to our podcast on all the places you might listen to a podcast. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We have our own YouTube channel where you can watch the video version. All the links can be found at you'llnevermakeit.ca. Here's hoping we do.
And now, back to Unscripted.
Okay, Skip, we're back.
All right, so people are probably scratching their heads, wondering what the hell this topic is. I'm kind of also skeptical about how it's going to go. I'm a little, and it was my idea also, which is even weirder.
But actually, I had this idea like a year ago or more, maybe. I think I even wrote it down in our list that we don't even refer to anymore.
I think you wrote it down like 4 years ago.
Right. Because there were two things that I had on the list, and we never did it because I only had two things on the list, and you need at least 5.
So, I mean, last week we talked about the Wayne Gretzky documentary when he was traded. So this is the springboard to this topic today, in that, we both agree that like that's one of the most shocking things that's ever happened in our life, especially in the world of sports. And even to this day, anytime there's a rumor that someone's going to get traded, mostly in sports, like something's going to get traded or whatever, anything like that, you're always like, well, if Wayne Gretzky could get traded, then anything could happen, which is still true to this day. Yeah. So I don't know how you made your list. You seem to be not sure you could come up with 5. I actually have much more than 5. I have a small honorable mention list. And my list is very interesting because I have a combination of TV, sports, and like current events. Like in my top 5, I have all of those things. And then I even have like a honorable mention, which a couple of them could have got in there. I just want to tell you like ahead of time, and I don't know if you did the same thing, maybe you didn't, but like 9/11 is not, I didn't put it in my list intentionally. I think like if anybody in the world would make this list, what are the most shocking things that happened in their life, that's number 1, or definitely, it's got to be there. And I intentionally didn't put it because I just felt like it's too obvious and didn't necessarily want to talk about it. It's much too obvious. So I wanted to try to be a little bit more original. And I have some things in my list here where you're going to be scratching your head saying, what the hell? Because they're not shocking to everybody, but for me at the time they were. It's like, right. I'm trying to like, yeah.
I mean, like I was going to say, in general, you know, things that happened when I was 10 years old were shocking to me because I was 10 years old. If the same exact thing happened today, it might not be shocking to me because now I've seen a million things and it's like, oh yeah, no big deal. But when you're 10 years old, it is a big deal.
Yeah, that's right. So like, do you feel good about your list? Like, are they more current, or like, are there things from when you're 10 years old?
Yeah, they're all over the place. They're anywhere from like 1980 to 2001.
Oh, wow. I think mine are all in the 2000s.
Okay.
Oh, no, maybe one of them is in the 90s. No, two of them are in the 90s. So, like, yeah, I don't go further back than that, but...
And I did end up finding like 9 things, so I had to cut it down to 5.
Number 5.
Okay, so you just mentioned it, 9/11. I know you said it's not on your list, but it's on my list. So obviously it was a shocking thing. And I remember it was a Tuesday. I was at work that day. So you hear about this, and keep in mind, I know it's 2001, but I don't think I had a smartphone yet. I'm pretty sure social media did not exist yet. So it wasn't like you could find out this information seconds after it happened.
Correct.
And when I first heard about it, I thought, oh, this is just another airplane accident. I didn't even think anything about it.
Me too.
But then when you hear about the second one, I'm like, what? 2 plane accidents on the same day in the same place? Yeah. So then you start, all the news starts trickling in. And even then, still, it took a while before you figured out stuff. And I was at the office. I don't even remember if we had a television at the time at the office. I don't think we did. So I guess I found out on the internet, probably.
I remember like word started to circulate. It's almost like a rumor because there wasn't so much internet back then. It's like someone heard it on the news, and then you start to, there was the internet. So I remember like being at work and then I actually called, I'm Mark, who lives in Philadelphia now, but he lived in New York at the time. And I actually called him. And like you said, before the age of cell phones, I was on like a landline, in my office, and I called him. And honestly, I can't even remember if I talked to him or if I couldn't get through. I can't remember, but I just remember that I did call him. And I think I did talk to him, and he was like, yeah, everything's fine. We could see the smoke. And like at the time, you think, oh, it's just some kind of air disaster, like a crash of some kind. And then obviously as the hours unfolded, we sort of learned what was really going on. And I remember being in my office at the time, and a bunch of us, we had a TV on, and like everybody in the office was watching what was going on in TV. No one was working, obviously. And then like eventually they just said, okay, everybody go home. And that was it.
Right. I don't remember if they told us to go home or not, but yeah, it was just a very strange day, obviously.
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't put it because I knew we'd talk about it anyway, so I didn't want to talk about it twice. So much lighter topic for me is the Red Sox defeating the Yankees in 2004 in the ALCS. It's the only time in baseball that its team has come back from being down 3-0 in a series. The only time ever.
In baseball.
In baseball. I mean, in other sports it has, but in baseball, that's it. This is the one and only time. I mean, it was even more dramatic at the time because the rivalry was so huge. And the year before, I don't know if you remember, the year before, Aaron Boone hit the home run in Game 7, and there's just bad blood between both teams. And you remember Pedro throwing Don Zimmer to the ground, and like the whole thing was crazy, right? Like this. And I remember even when the Sox won in extra innings in Game 4 to make it 3-1, I was like, okay, so they won a game. It's still over, right? And then with every subsequent game and different stuff that was happening in the next games, there's so many things that happened, the bloody sock, and then Johnny Damon hits a grand slam in Game 7, and then like it's just like looking back now, it seems much less shocking than it was at the time because it wasn't one thing. It wasn't like, oh my God, this one thing happened. It was like a bunch of all kinds of little things that kept building and building and building. And by the time it got to Game 7, you kind of assumed the Red Sox were going to win, like it seemed like inevitable. Once you got to the bloody sock, you were like, okay, they're winning, So looking back now, it seems like we just talk about it like, oh yeah, the Red Sox defeated the Yankees, but like putting yourself in that moment at the time, it just seemed like it was impossible, right? They did the impossible. So that's my number 5.
So you made me think of a few things. It's not on my list, but I could have put the Cubs winning the World Series because it took over 100 years for that to happen. The other thing, I think this happened at least twice that I recall, a 16 seed beating a 1 seed in March Madness. I never thought that would happen, but none of those are in my list.
No, I remember the first time I saw 15 beat a 2. I'm like, oh my God. The Richmond Spiders beat Syracuse.
But that's happened like 4 times or maybe even 6 times.
Yeah. There's a lot of those.
Number 4.
So the next one is the death of John Lennon.
Oh, Jesus. I should have put that.
So I mean, it's not just the fact that he died, but so it happened in 1980, in December 1980. The eerie thing about it is if you were watching Monday Night Football, because this was the only way you would hear about it, I wasn't, again, I was 10 years old. I don't think I was watching Monday Night Football, but my brother, who is 6 years older than me, was probably watching it, and I happened to be in the room, and then you hear Howard Cosell come on, and he has, the way he announced it, dead on arrival. I mean, it's very eerie the way he says it on the broadcast. So
it's unbelievable.
So the way you found out about it was the shocking thing. The interesting thing is 6 years earlier, almost to the day, because it was December 8th, 1980 that he died. On December 9th, 1974, John Lennon appeared on Monday Night Football for a halftime interview with Howard Cosell. So, and he even said, Lennon at the time said he described football as making rock concerts look like tea parties.
That's good.
So, anyway.
Yeah, that's a good one. Like, honestly, I probably would have put that one, but like when I was 10, it didn't affect me because you didn't feel the gravity of it when you're 10 years old, the how huge this event was. Obviously, I'm a huge Beatles fan, so every year on the anniversary of his death, I'm just like speechless sometimes. Like, how could this have happened? Yeah. All right. So number 4 for me, also on the lighter side, a show that you never watched, that you don't care about, but that almost everybody in the rest of the world did watch was Game of Thrones. And what was interesting about Game of Thrones is there was like many seasons, but season 1, you didn't know what this show was going to be. Like when you're watching season 1 at the time, week to week, and then the main character, Ned Stark, played by Sean Bean, in the second to last episode of season 1, he's dead. They kill him off, right? And at the time, I'm like, it's leading up to the fact that he's gonna be killed. They're gonna execute him, and literally right up to the last second, I'm thinking, no, they're not killing the main character in season 1. How could they kill the main character of the show in season 1? Like this can't happen. Something's gonna happen to save him. And then 2 seconds later, they kill him, and it's over. And we're like, what the hell just happened? And then, I mean, now looking back, it doesn't seem as shocking because they killed millions of characters. They killed so many characters on that show. So basically, they were setting the precedent in right off the bat in season 1 that no one's safe, and that the show is going to span many years, so that the fact that this character died didn't necessarily matter because he wasn't really the main character. Eventually, it was his kids that are the main characters. But at the time, I was just like, what? How do you kill your main character right at the beginning of the show? Like, what's going to happen now? So anyways, that's Game of Thrones.
So this reminds me, there was a show, I don't know, 5 years ago on regular television. I don't even remember the name of the show, so that tells you that it wasn't so great. And leading up to the first episode, you saw all these promos, and like there's 3 main characters. And in the first episode of season 1, the main character dies.
Oh, I forget what show this
was,
but I know exactly what you're talking about.
You even said to me, like, they killed him in the first episode? Like, isn't he the main character?
I forget what show this was, and we talked about this once before. It's a show that I didn't watch because I thought it was
2
stupid.
private investigators who used to be cops, and there's 2 women and 1 man, and the man dies in the first episode. I'm
going to look it up. I'm going to remember what it was. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And he was in all the posters for the show, like...
I didn't get it.
Number 3.
Okay, so next on my list, and the rest of the ones on my list, all of them could have been number one.
Okay.
So it's almost like a three-way tie. Donald Trump winning the election in 2016. This completely shocked me because, first of all, people said he's not actually going to run for president. And then when he decided he was going to run, they're like, well, okay, but he's not actually going to be the Republican candidate. There's no way he's going to win that. And then he does. So now he's actually in the election. And then even then, up until like, I think the day before the election, people were like, he's not going to win. Don't worry about it. And then he wins. Like, I was completely stunned by this. To this day, I'm still stunned by it. I don't know how it happened. I still don't understand how it happened.
So I love when this happens because number 3 for me is Trump winning the election in 2016. And you're right. No one gave him a chance. I follow politics heavily. I was like, there's no way. Every poll, actually I remember at the eve of the election, I was like, I don't even think he wants to win. I think the whole thing was just like an exercise that got out of control. This is at the time. Like now, obviously we have 10 years of seeing exactly what he's all about. And maybe he did want to win. I don't know. But I worked for an American company, as you know, during that time. And many of my coworkers were American, almost all of them, and most of them lived in New York. And I just remember the day after the election, my coworkers were they were stunned. It was like they were zombies. It was like people did not know how to react. I remember one of my coworkers, like I think she took the day off. She's like, I can't come to work today. It's too much. They were really stunned, you know? And we're Canadians, and it's stunning us talking about it now, right? And then I remember talking to one of my other friends who lived in the US, and he was like, I said, how did this happen? And he's like, I realized today that many of my friends and neighbors who I thought were smart people are actually morons. You know, like you sort of, it drew the line. Like now politics was divided then. Now it's even more divided. It's so aggressively us versus them, you versus me. It's like there's no gray area. It's only black and white. And I think this is when it started, you know, like this is like the dividing line, you know? So
in hindsight, we shouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, I was shocked at the time. When he won the second time, I wasn't surprised at all.
Me too. Me too.
But like, clearly, more than half the country thinks he's the right man for the job.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Even though you talk to people who are shocked and stunned and upset, there's more people who are not shocked and not stunned and not upset.
Yeah, exactly. That's why in 2024, like you said, the last election, I thought he was going to lose, but I wasn't surprised when he won. Like this is what the US is now. This is what their country is. It's completely divided, and I don't want to get into a politics podcast, but like, anyways, they picked their guy, and they got to live with him now. So
Number 2.
Next on my list is the day that Gary Carter was traded from the Expos to the New York Mets.
Such a great pick, Josh. I should have put this too. This is such an unbelievable pick by you.
So again, there was no cell phones, there was no social media, there was no internet. This is 1984. And it happened in December, and it was 10 days after my birthday. And of course, you know, I was a big Expos fan. And you hear about this trade, and you hear about it on Monday Night Football. Again, similar to the death of John Lennon. Howard Cosell announced the trade. That's the only way you could have heard about it, other than like you get the newspaper the next day, which by then it's old news. Although back then the newspaper was actually useful. So then you hear who he's traded for. 4 players: Hubie Brooks, Mike Fitzgerald, Herm Winningham, and Floyd Yeomans. Now, Hubie Brooks was actually not a bad player. I think
he was good.
I think he was even an all-star as an Expo.
Yes,
at least
he
once.
Had 100. He had 100 RBI season. He was a good hitter,
and he played shortstop. I mean, he wasn't the best defensive shortstop, but he played shortstop, which was a position that the Expos always had a problem with.
Yeah,
but the other 3 guys were like, whatever. They're just guys.
Yeah.
They're guys. Yeah. I don't even want to get into their
guys.
stats, but they're just whatever.
Yeah.
So, you know, as a young kid, I was 14, I was devastated. Like, Gary Carter, one of the best players on the team. How do you trade Gary Carter? This made no sense to me. I was so upset. I was probably crying, actually.
You know, we talked about Wayne Gretzky and like how could you trade the best player, and like obviously Wayne Gretzky's in his own stratosphere in terms of his fame and how good he was. But in Montreal at the time, that was Gary Carter. He was the biggest sports star, sports hero to many in Montreal at the time, but more than Guy Lafleur, more than anybody on the Canadiens, because Guy Lafleur was already old by then, and like it was huge. It was absolutely huge.
Like you'd see him on billboards just driving around the city. You'd see him in commercials all the time.
Actually, looking back now, that was actually the first straw at the fall. Like
Absolutely.
the first little thing that was the downfall of the Expos in the city. That was the first thing that happened.
We should have realized that day that was the beginning of the end.
That's right. All right, number 2 for me, you're going to laugh at me. You're going to laugh hard because it seems so ridiculous, obviously, compared to some of the stuff you're talking about. It's when Felicity cut her hair in season 2 of the show Felicity.
I was like, what is he going to say? What is he going to say? And you're right. I'm laughing because you're talking about not even a real person. You're talking about a character on a television show.
People don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. But Felicity was a show that aired in the 90s. It was starred Kerry Russell. She was the lead character, Felicity, of a girl who, you know, went away at school, and there was a love triangle and everything. And on season 2, episode 2 of season 2, she cut her hair short because, you know, after a breakup, she wanted to start fresh and change her whole outlook on life, change her look. Now, this was so traumatizing to me. I mean, you know how much I love Kerry Russell. And at the time, like, her hair was like her superpower. She had this gorgeous curly hair. And then when she cut it short, it was like, I was just in shock. And now I read, doing a little bit of research, I researched this week. And I'll read you a couple of little quotes. There was a wave of negative feedback towards the WB network after she cut her hair. And Kerry Russell herself received death threats.
Death threats? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, people were so mad.
I mean, the hair's going to grow back.
I know. The WB network was caught off guard by the extreme fan reaction after the haircut was after the fact, the haircut was widely blamed for the show's subsequent ratings decline. And the network issued an unofficial no haircut policy for all its young stars.
That's hilarious, by the way.
The incident was so impactful that it became a common reference point in the entertainment industry, and major hair changes by a TV star was sometimes referred to as pulling a Felicity. Yeah. So if you want to go look back and see what Felicity looked like before and after the haircut, I'll invite all the listeners to do so.
That's very funny.
Yeah. All right. We're at number 1.
Number 1.
So you know my number 1. It's the Wayne Gretzky trade. We talked about it last week.
I didn't put it because it was like, we talked about it last week. So
I know, but I wanted to talk about it because I learned a few new things about the trade. Funny how it happened, 30 something years ago or more.
Yeah.
Maybe 40 something years ago. And I'm still learning new things about the trade. So he was traded along with Marty McSorley and Mike Krushelnyski for Jimmy Carson, Martin Gélina, $15 million in cash and 3 first-round picks. Now,
wow.
$15 million in cash today seems like nothing, by the way.
It was a lot then.
It was a lot then, and Peter Pocklington needed the money, whatever. But I never actually knew until yesterday who those 3 first-round draft picks ended up being. Mm-hmm. So I will tell you, because I'm guessing you don't know either.
No.
One of them was Martin Rucinski, who actually played over 900 NHL games, but after playing 2 games for Edmonton, he was traded to Quebec for Ron Tugnut and Brad Zawisza. So only played 2 games with the Oilers.
That's very funny because he was involved in 2 huge trades because he was part of the Patrick Waugh trade also.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Right?
The other 2 players that the Oilers drafted, a guy named Jason Miller. So he played 6 career NHL games and all of them were for New Jersey.
Wow. Okay. So it's
and the third guy that they picked is a guy named Nick Stajduhar, who played 2 NHL career games, both with the Oilers.
Wow.
Now, the other interesting thing I learned, because there was an interview with Gretzky like just 2 years ago, I think, that I found online yesterday. And I didn't know this, but there were 3 other teams that were trying to get Gretzky because like the Oilers had decided they were going to trade him. And so they were talking to 4 teams, the Kings, of course, the Red Wings, the Flyers, and the Rangers.
Okay.
And then for some reason, I guess the Flyers and the Rangers decided they weren't interested anymore. So it was basically the Red Wings and the Kings. And Gretzky was the one who was going to decide. Like they were going to let him decide. And originally he said, okay, I'm going to go to the Red Wings. You know, they have a storied history. They're one of the original 6 teams. Gordie Howe played there. It's not far from where I grew up. So he was going to go to the Red Wings. And then his dad called him. So it's nothing to do with Janet Jones. His dad called him and said, I'm going to give you some advice. I don't think you should go to Detroit. There's only one Gordie Howe. You're never going to be able to supplant Gordie Howe. I think you should try something new, and I think you should go to LA. And that's why Gretzky decided to go to the Kings.
Because it was always said that he went because his wife wanted to be a Hollywood actress.
Correct, but that wasn't it.
Right. Okay.
So yeah,
Interesting.
that was the most shocking thing that's happened in my lifetime.
So number 1 for me is the death of Princess Diana.
That's a good one. That's a very good one.
August 1997. I went to visit Mark, our friend Mark from Philadelphia, who was living. It's funny how he came up a few times this episode. He seems like he's lived everywhere. He was living at the time in Victoria, British Columbia. I went to visit him. Actually, my wife now, girlfriend at the time, came with me, and we went to visit him together. And keep in mind, there's a big time. You're on the West Coast. There's like a time difference between the East and a bigger time difference between Europe. We turned on the TV, like you said, this is before internet and everything, right? Like before social media. We turned on the TV and we saw this news report that she was in this accident. And I was like, okay. And then we went for dinner. And I still remember the restaurant we went to, Red Robin. And then when we got home, we turned on the news again and we found out that she had passed. And it was like a complete shock. It just didn't seem like it was possible. Like it didn't seem like it was possible. Now, of course, later on now, there's so much details and so much information that came that's been released about the crash and the paparazzi, her boyfriend at the time, and all these things that we never really knew about then. And especially like if you watch the show The Crown, which I know you don't, they really show you a lot of stuff about that day, like specifically. But like at the time, I just felt like I was living in some kind of alternate reality. Probably how like we all felt like when you said like in 9/11 or big things like this happen, like I think it's the same kind of feeling. Yeah, so that's my number 1.
I like it. You have a good list.
Even Felicity. So this is like some of my honorable mentions, and honestly, they could have been in here. The Christian Laettner shot versus Kentucky, I think could have made it. Only is that there are many buzzer beaters in the world of sports and many last second shots. I mean, this is the most famous and the least probable, but still, it's the only reason why I left it off. You ever see the movie The Sixth Sense? There's a huge reveal, when he says, "I see dead people." Is that the one with the
shaky camera?
No, that's the Blair Witch Project. That's something else. Sorry. But anyways, The Sixth Sense, there's a huge reveal that, like, anyways, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Obviously, the Miracle on Ice, USA defeating the Russians in 1980. My wife brought up the Shawshank Redemption today, when after he escapes, when the warden comes in and pulls down the movie poster and there's the hole in the wall, and you realize that scene. It is like a very shocking at the time. And then something very personal that only me and you and a handful of other people know about is the comeback of our softball team when you hit the huge triple. I don't remember what year it was, 99, 2000, 2001. I honestly don't know.
Somewhere
but you know
around
what I'm
there. I have
about.
to go look at the baseball or the softball.
Yeah. You have a signed ball, right?
Yes, and I can get the
the
exact date. Just a sec. Because it's written on the ball and the whole team signed it.
Yeah.
But it's all the writing is blurry, so it's going to be difficult for me to read.
Yeah, I could see it on camera. It doesn't look
September 6th, 2000.
There is. I knew it was around those times. Yeah.
Final score in 10 innings, 6-5 for us.
Yeah, beautiful. So yeah, that's my honorable mentions. I don't know if you have any, but
I have a few in no particular order. And again, some of these today, you're like, no big deal. But at the time, Fox becoming a full-fledged TV network.
I mean, yeah, okay.
COVID-19, although that didn't happen suddenly, it happened gradually.
That's a great one, actually. That we just take it for granted because it's so, like, it seems so recent. It just seems like something that happened. But yeah, we both of us didn't. Yeah, okay, good one.
I mean, like, think about it. If someone had told you before, we're all going to be quarantined for a year, you'd be like, what? No, you're nuts.
Yeah.
NCAA players getting paid.
Yeah. Oof.
And the day that I found out that Osama bin Laden was killed.
Oh, okay. I mean, that wasn't that shocking because you knew they were after him, right?
But I didn't think they could find him, so.
Did you ever see the movie Zero Dark 30?
I did. I liked it.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, we'll be right back after this with some final thoughts.
You're listening to Unscripted.
Hey everyone, Skip here. I'm really excited to invite all of you to follow my new account at Skip Cooks on Instagram and TikTok. I'll be sharing my love of cooking with recipes in the form of 1-minute music videos, all set to some of my favorite songs. Don't miss out, follow me, and let's have some fun in the kitchen.
Unscripted with Skip and Josh is available wherever you listen to podcasts. If you listen to the show through Apple Podcasts, please leave a review. To interact with the show, send an email to skipandjoshshow@gmail.com. Follow the show on Twitter and go to Facebook to like the show page. And now, some final thoughts from the guys.
So I have one final thought, Josh, and it's more of a question for you.
Go
Something
ahead.
that I'm curious about. There's a show that's been airing for the last few months on Amazon Prime that is probably the most popular show of the year so far that everybody in the world is talking about. Well, not everybody in the world, mostly women or girls under the age of 25, and me. But
And I bet I've never heard of it.
I'm curious to know, I know you didn't watch it, but I just want to know if you've even heard of it, because I know that you're in your own, like, you have your own bubble of shows that you like, and this is probably something that doesn't register. But have you heard of The Summer I Turned Pretty?
Oh, yes, I have heard of it. Funny you should mention this. It's not a new show.
No, it's the third season that just finished.
I watched season 1 like 5 years ago or something, like during COVID, I think.
Yeah, that's about right.
So yes, I've heard of it, and I watched season 1. I don't know that I've watched anything since then.
Okay, I'm just curious to know if you knew about it or whatever. But like the finale The finale was available on Wednesday of this past week, and I watched all of season 3, and it was.
So they're not making a season 4 then?
They're not making a season 4, but they're making a movie. They announced that after the finale aired, they announced that they're going to make a movie that's going to continue the story to see where the characters go. So
I had a couple of things I wanted to mention to you.
Mm-hmm.
I live in a condo building, and we get like a monthly newsletter. And in the most recent newsletter, they mentioned that they're starting a book club in the building. Anyone can join. I'm not going to join because I don't read books. But the first book they're reading is Lessons in Chemistry, which is about chemist Elizabeth Zott, which was a great show. So
yeah, it was a great show. Yeah, and actually, I heard the book's really good. So, I mean.
The other thing I wanted to mention to you is anyone who uses AI out there, be very careful because AI makes mistakes. The other day, I Googled something and it told me that Ken Dryden was not born in Canada. He was born in Hamilton, Ontario, which last time I checked is in Canada. It also said that he played for the Soviet Union in the Summit Series. So just be careful what AI tells you, people.
It was bizarre. You sent me the screenshot of what it told you. I'm like, what did you ask it? I think it got confused between Montreal Canadiens and the term Canadian. Like, I think that's part of the confusion.
But I didn't even say Montreal Canadiens.
No?
I just said I wanted to know all the former Montreal goalies who were not born in Canada.
Okay.
And it didn't even tell me what I wanted to know.
No, and then the Soviet Union thing doesn't even make sense. He played against the Soviet Union.
Correct.
But played in the series, but obviously we know that Ken Dryden was not Russian. So
Anyway.
all right, Josh, it was a very interesting discussion today. I really liked your list. I'm glad we had like different type of things, different things on our list. I really think you thought of some good stuff that I didn't really occur to me when I was making this list. And I'll talk to you next time.
Have a great week.